Hey people, welcome to Hustle
And love. Everybody look at me and laugh when I do that part. So today we have a very special guest in the building, Miss Trap Queen. Let her introduce herself.
What's up, y'all? My name is Aisha Hall, and I am from Roosevelt, New York, and I'm here in Hustle and Love.
Love. Come on, hit that love. for me.
Hustle. You want it?
Yeah. So now, we want to know, how did you become Miss Trap Queen, right?
Wow.
How did you make it all the way on BET? That's huge. For
Yes,
real, for real.
yes.
Congratulations,
Congratulations.
for real.
Thank
That's
you.
huge.
Thank you.
Like, how did all that come about? Let's start from the very beginning. Like, where did you grow up? Let's start from the beginning.
Okay. Well, to answer your first question about Trap Queen, let me just clarify, because a lot of people say, well, you know, you wasn't in the drug game, so why is it Trap Queen? And basically, the definition of trap, especially for the show, was about hustling females.
That's what I
You know what I mean? So wherever the trap is at, whether it's an office, whether it's the street, whether it's whatever you're doing, it was like about women who hustle queens, really. So that's that. That's
Right.
the first part. Secondly, I grew up in Roosevelt, New York, Roosevelt, Long Island, exit 21. You know, I was born there in 1983. It was very.
How old are you?
Are you?
Oh, you look
good.
You look good.
Oh, okay, just a little bit. But it was very dope growing up in Roosevelt. It was a close knit community, you know. Predominantly at that time African American. Like when I went to school at that time, it was probably like maybe one Latino kid in the school. You know, it was just a very. It wasn't, you know, like the boroughs where there's a lot of buildings and things of that nature. It was more residential, but the same thing, the same concept, you know.
So was it like kind of like the uppity part?
Definitely not.
No.
Nah, Roosevelt,
Nah,
Nassau,
Roosevelt.
Freeport, Hempstead, certain parts, but I used to frequent Roosevelt, Centennial Park, Nassau, you know, Nassau Road leads straight. Like when you come off of 21 right there, Nassau Road, it leads straight
That's right.
through, you know, like
That
they
whole
hood
area.
after hood, train station, Freeport, then you're in Freeport, so I'm very familiar. I have some friends that's from Roosevelt.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes, I'm very familiar.
Oh,
The
okay.
Rink, Centennial Park, but
Okay.
this is in the 70s now.
Oh, okay.
By the time the early 80s came, I was.
You probably,
I'm
so you
tired.
might know my dad,
Yes, I probably do.
Prince Colin.
Yeah, well, the brother was just telling me
Yeah.
about it. Yes.
He
Oh,
was
I'm right.
Roosevelt royalty.
Yes, no, so, all right, yeah, because that's where a few guys I know, like Pissy Black is from Roosevelt. My man Spud, Sylvester Goodwine, they're a big family out there. Do you know the Geis? Aisha Geis? Pretty Thug?
Oh, yeah.
Pretty
Doug,
Thug.
yeah, that's like a daughter to me. She's from out there. The Campbells.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out to Doug. She's doing so great. I'm so proud of her. Yeah, but yes, I'm very familiar. Me myself with, you know, Long Island.
Okay, so you know what's up already.
Yes,
right?
yes.
I don't, sometimes I have to explain away Long Island because people think Long Island is like all like white, uppity, you know, anywhere where there's a cluster of black people,
They
it's
have
the
hooks.
same struggle,
It's the
same,
Yes.
same thing.
Yes.
The houses just look different, but it's the same situation.
So how was it growing up there? Like,
It was cool. It was dope. I mean, I grew up, I came up, you know, very much under my father. So my
Like
father
me.
was like, he was a musician, you know, he did music with like Public Enemy. He came from Jamaica when he was like 6 or 7 years old.
Yes.
So, you know, he grew up in Roosevelt, in the street, you know.
Yes.
So I witnessed him hustling and, you know, that's how I learned how to do music and that's how I learned how to, you know, get money off of my father. So,
so like, was it both parents in the household, or it
Yes.
was more? Oh, okay, so
It was
you grew
both.
up with both. So
Yeah.
were you a spoiled brat? Or?
I wasn't spoiled. I wasn't spoiled.
Yes, but I believe it was, you know, like I understand that she comes from a non-traditional background, but yet the love, respect, honor was all there. It's just that Pops was hustling, he was in the street, Moms was tending the house,
That's right.
and you was paying a lot of attention.
That's right. And my parents were teenage parents. So
Yes.
my mom got pregnant with me, I think, was she like 15 or 16? My dad was 17.
Okay.
So they were young, you know.
Yes.
But my father was like, well, he was on a mission, like, to prove that he could take care of his family
Yes.
by himself. Because my mom had my sister right after me, so she was 16 with me and then 17 with my sister.
So you're the oldest.
So I'm the oldest. And you know, my parents were they was an interesting couple. My mother was like a very quiet schoolgirl, and my father was like that Jamaican bad boy.
Yeah, that rude. Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah, so I got a little bit of both. You know,
So you got the best of both worlds. That sounds like kind of like me. My dad was like that street hustler. My mother was like that church Christian religious type. Want to pray all day and go to church. So it's like I kind of got the best of both worlds. So you know, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about like how did you end up in prison?
So it's you know all my life, like I said, I was introduced to hustling. You know, so I would watch my dad make a lot of money. And my father was super conscious, super
Ooh, you
conscious.
sound like my dad. What's his sign?
He's a Virgo.
Oh,
He
my
was a
dad is an
Virgo.
Aries.
Oh, okay. But super conscious, you know, kept me up on my, as they would say, mathematics. You know,
Yes.
calculated moves, understanding, you know, the world we live in. You know, he spoke a lot about different conspiracies. We talked a lot about religion. And, you know, all of the things that was kind of like, you know, put on us as black people, you know. Just the whole breakdown of who we were as a people was a very, you know, was a constant conversation. So I have that. I see the hustle and the money. I had the music. So all of that is going on in this kid's head. So when it finally came down to me making music and me coming out, like making my friends and things of that nature, I became very known for being outspoken. You know, and not wanting to go with the status quo, not wanting to go with the norm.
Me all day.
So may I ask, what is your sign?
I'm a Taurus.
Oh, see, I'm a Libra.
Yes.
I'm a Taurus, April
Well, go
26th.
ahead.
So, you know, after I got known for, I became known for kind of the outspoken, kind of rebel, not a troublemaker, but always.
Don't take no.
Yeah, you know, why? Why I gotta do this? Says who? Who made the rule?
Right,
I
I
don't
don't
know.
have to do that. That's what y'all do.
And then my pops backing me up with that.
Exactly.
It was like, you know.
Who's gonna stop me?
Exactly. So then I started to like the attention I would get from the guys, which was their respect. Not like, oh, I want to talk to you. It was like, oh, here come Ish. She always dropping jewels. I liked that.
And I'm Ish too.
Yeah, I know. That's so cool. So I liked that. I liked fitting in. I liked being respected. So obviously I had to have new content because I didn't want to keep talking about the same stuff. So it had me constantly seeking new information. So I would build with my pops and then I would take it back out. You know, and make a long story short, when I was a teenager is when I had my first business. So I had in Roosevelt, I had a little like penny saver where I went and collected people's business cards, lined them up, made photocopies of them, and then handed them out. So now it was like a little penny saver.
Yes.
That was my first thing. Then,
Like, what was that like? Just tell me a little bit about that. Like,
I went into different stores and I was like, you know, I see your business cards are sitting here. You know, nobody's gonna see them unless they come in. But if you want more people to come in, people need to know you exist.
Yeah.
So let me take a bunch of your business cards. I'll charge you $25 a month, and I'll distribute them. So they was like, okay.
That's genius right there.
So I would go around to different stores, take their business cards, and I would put them, like line them up, and then I would photocopy it nice and neat, and I would make like my own little penny saver, and then I would give those out for free. But I'm like, okay, if I get 10 of them, that's $250. If I get 100 of them, you know, I'm making some moves now.
Right.
So
Calculated.
yeah. So that was the first thing. So I really got an eye opener into entrepreneurship, you know, and then, you know, seeing my father do what he was doing, always having a lot of money, you know, I just was never satisfied with a job. So fast forward into my adult life, I started a company called ASR Solutions, which was doing like credit repair. And then I got a call from someone who I used to do mortgages for, asking to borrow some money. Not for me, but to help them borrow a couple $1 million. And I'm like, what you need a couple $1 million for? And that's when they started explaining to me that they needed to do trading. And I was like, what's that? And then they broke down trading and was saying I have to show a net worth of a certain amount in order for me to go trade. And I said, so you're gonna just use all the money you have to trade? You're gonna borrow that money and risk it all over again? Now that's double. You gotta pay that back, then you have to pay back if it doesn't work out. And they was like, no, I'm just showing it. you have to have a certain net worth to participate. I have my own money, but I need money to show.
Yes.
So my thoughts started going, and I'm like, so you just need to look like it? Okay. So I did my research, and I found out that there was a whole different world of investments where you don't have to actually have the money. You have to look like you have
the money. Yes.
Like a fake it till you make it type situation?
Well, not really, but kind of like, I'll give you an example. This is an example I give often because I think it breaks it down pretty easy. So you let me come through this door, and let's say I had to pay to come in here $100. I have the 100, and you're like, no. If you're not worth $10 million, you can't come in here. And I'm like, but the cost is only 100, and I have the 100. So the next person comes up, they have the 100, they pay it, you let them in. I'm like, well, they paid 100 just like I'm gonna pay. Why you let them in? Because he's worth 10 million, you're not. So that's the entry requirement.
Oh, okay, I get it now.
Right.
So even though you have the money, you still have to be worth.
Right,
Okay,
right.
got
Now
you.
I'm like, who made up that rule? Here I go back with my question and
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
And it's like whoever's running the trading platform can make up that rule. And I say, well, I don't really think that's fair. So what are they gonna make once they enter? Oh, they have to make millions of dollars. So I say, hold on. The only thing stopping me or stopping these people from making that kind of money is because they don't already have it. Well, that's gonna lock everybody out. So I came up with the concept to do proof of funds, which is basically to make people look like they're worth more than what they are. By, if you have 10 million, you're gonna put me on your account. So now I have 10 million.
Like a
too.
secondary,
Right.
like having a secondary owner of the car.
Exactly.
You have the credentials, but if you make me a secondary card owner, then mine will be the same as
Exactly.
yours.
So now we have a backdoor agreement though that says you can't touch my money.
Yes.
So even though you showing it as your proof, you can't touch
Can't
it.
do anything.
So it's just for show.
Yes.
So now I have my own money, but they're not letting me in. So I'm going to show this 10 million that's really not mine, but technically it is because my name is on here.
Yeah.
Right.
Now I can get in the door, and now I can come in and pay my $100 to come in.
Right.
So basically, I saw a problem with that. Like that's not really fair. Who's deciding who can come in and go? That's going to lock out, a lot of people. And you know what people that's going to lock out because that's generational wealth. When you have 20 and 30 and 40, $100 million, and some of the requirements were $100 million.
Yes.
So I was making people look like they were worth that amount by linking them with hedge fund managers,
Yes.
people who were just had a lot of access to money. I was linking them with them. But where I messed up and how I ended up in prison, to answer your question, was that process took a while, like 2 weeks, 10 days. So I had some clients that was like, listen, this ain't no 10-day thing. If I don't get into this trade, it's buying diamonds, gold, silver, natural gas, clay, rubber.
And you was a teenager doing this?
No.
Oh.
By this time, I was 25.
You
24.
still was
I was
young in
24.
the whole different.
So I went to prison at 25, so I was 24.
Okay.
But at that time, these people were very, very interested in doing those types of trades, and they had no way in until here I come with this
You
idea.
was the middleman.
Right, right.
You was the middleman.
Right, and I'm charging, you want to go into this trade, you're going to make 100 million, 50 million, 10 million, I need 100 grand, I need 200 grand. So I'm closing these types of deals every day, you know what I'm saying?
You're
So
24 years old.
yeah, so that's how I was able to make $10 million in
Yeah.
a short time. It was a very, very intense time. I was in the office. I went and got an office. I was in there from like 10 in the morning till 1 o'clock in the morning every day. Because by the time I'm finished over here, I got a whole other part of the world I want to get in on these trades. So it's 9 in the morning for them while it's the middle of the night for me. So,
Right.
So some of the clients didn't want to wait. So they was like, listen, just change the number. We good for it. I'm not using the money. Just change the numbers on the papers so I can go in and do my thing. It's my money. I need to get in. So I'm like, you know what? You're right. What's the big deal? And you're going to pay me extra. So you're going to give me 200 grand or 150 grand, and I'm going to give you the paperwork.
Right, I'm
You're going to
gonna
get in,
expedite it,
and then we're going to rip it up.
Yeah.
Once you in, you in. But I had somebody take the paperwork and try to go get a loan with it. So that's how I ended up
And
getting
that's how I
always
created
messing stuff
the fraud situation.
Right.
Yes.
And I get a lot of people like, ever since I did like the Breakfast Club and, American Gangster, there's a lot of commentary. Like it's heavy talk, this whole thing. And people are like, why she had so much money and didn't take it out? And I said, unless you dealt with that kind of money, you can't just walk in the bank and take out money.
No. I understand clearly, having that type of information and knowing because, like I said, I have some friends and, some African friends that and yes, it's all about what's what as he say, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax says. So you can be technically worth 500 million. Don't mean you got 500 million.
Right.
But when you look at the paperwork,
That's right.
that you can get. So I understand that.
People leverage. You know, a lot of my business too was SBLC, standby letters of credit, bank guarantees.
Yeah.
And people are like, what is that? So a bank guarantee basically is another form of credit where if you consistently have, let's say, 20 million in the bank, and then you spend it, and now you have a situation that comes up where you need to pay 10 million for something, and you don't have it, but your bank, you've been banking with them long enough where they have a relationship with you where they know you're gonna get back to that amount again because you've been doing it consistently.
Yes.
Right.
We'll do a guarantee. So whatever you're purchasing, the seller will accept the bank guarantee, which is the bank guaranteeing that they're gonna pay for whatever it is you're doing. And that usually takes place on large projects. Like I'm talking about funding like windmills for electricity.
Yes. A lot of green projects.
Green projects.
Yes.
You know, that kind of stuff. And a lot of times they require a humanitarian project to back it up. That you're doing for free. So yeah, I'm doing this, wind technology project that's gonna cost $100 million, but I'm also doing a feed the hungry thing going on over here in Czechoslovakia.
Yes.
So a lot of times they had those types of requirements too. It was just crazy. Like it was a different world that most of us don't even know exists.
Right.
That's just
See how I'm looking at you like, wow.
Yeah,
so go back to the loan. So how like walk us through it. Like once the person try to get the loan, how did it trace back to you and lead up to your arrest?
So this person, right, paid me all of this money for this paperwork.
Yeah.
And once I was able to give them the paperwork, they took the paperwork to the bank and tried to get a loan again.
As collateral.
As collateral. They asked for a loan, I believe it was for like $1 million. And the bank asked for collateral, and they said, here, gave them the letter. Now, you know this letter is BS.
Yeah.
That's
So
my
why would
next
you do
question.
that?
Did they not know that they couldn't do that? Or
I guess they thought they could
they
get away
tried
with
to take
it.
their chance.
Yes.
Okay.
Now,
Larceny.
yeah, they tried. So immediately they figured out that the paperwork was not legitimate. So they said, listen, they called bank security or whoever. Where'd you get this paperwork from? I got it from Aisha Hall, blah, blah, blah. Immediately.
Yeah.
So now, I found out that my funds are frozen, because all they had to do was see where the money was sent. It was sent to me.
Yeah.
And these are funds that I have access to. You know what I'm saying? So once I got notification that my funds were frozen, the bank kind of tricked me. Well, they thought they tricked me, but they said, we're closing your account. We're closing your account. We're closing the, we shutting down whatever accounts you have. It's a wrap. So I'm like, all right, that's fine, but you need to give me my money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And this particular bank, I think at that time I had like $4 million and change in that account. So I said, that's okay. I need my money.
Yes.
And I said, I'm going to come by the bank and pick it up. And they said, no, we're going to overnight it to you. And I'm like, why can't I just come pick it up? I want my money now. I'm not in any trouble. They were like, no, it's bank security. We're going to overnight it to you to the address that you had on file, which was a home address at the time in another state, in Georgia. So I jump on a plane because they tell me they overnighting it to me.
So when I get your money.
Yeah, I was going to get my money. But as you see, if you saw the show, it was the Secret Service that was there. They had a FedEx envelope, but it was arrest warrants for my bank accounts. I never even heard of that. I heard of seizures.
Right.
I heard of all of that stuff, but it was arrest warrants for my bank account.
Yes.
So all my bank accounts were seized. All my vehicles were seized. They never seized my homes because I bought 75 houses, and I had them under corporations, and that layered the corporation. So even if they found one corporation, they said, oh, the owner of this corporation was another corporation. The owner of that corporation.
Right.
By the time they figured it was too confusing.
Yeah.
So they didn't get the houses, but I ended up losing them because I got such a long sentence, I wasn't there to pay the taxes. So
when they had the seizure for your arrest,
not for my arrest,
for your bank,
for my bank account, and they never were gonna arrest me at that time because the case was civil. It was all about money. It was all about money. It was civil. But what happened was that when they took all my money, I was like, all right, I'm gonna make another move.
You
And
said,
that's
"All
when
right,
I
y'all
went-
wanna play?"
Yeah, and I sent my people to Africa. We started buying the gold and doing all of that, and we was back up in the M's again. You know what I'm saying?
But were you under investigation at this time?
Oh, it was the civil case, but I didn't care about that because it was like, now I knew how to make money. You know, once you make
Once
that
you
kind of money,
do
there's
it,
a different
yes.
level of confidence. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So I was able to go and do it again. 9 weeks or whatever it was, back up 1.25 million, buying gold bars, actually buying gold dust out of Sierra Leone,
Yes.
and we were shipping it back up here, and I was selling it. You know who I was selling it to? A lot of people are like, "Would you selling it to jewelry stores?" No, I was selling it to the Federal Reserve.
Wow.
Yeah, and the Federal
Yes,
Reserve
government.
buys gold
The
unlimited.
government.
Wow.
Whatever you got. I mean, that's what all the gold
Well,
of
right.
the world is reserved.
Right.
Their wealth is
Well,
in
they
gold.
have a bunch of brokers all throughout Manhattan.
Yes.
That buy and they sell directly to the Federal
To the
Reserve.
Federal
I didn't deal with them directly.
No, but
all
you
of
went
them-
through the media,
Right, that's
yes.
why I had unlimited. So I would come, give them the gold, they would smelter it, so they would take the gold dust, turn it into bricks, mix it well, drill a hole in the middle, pull that piece out the middle, and then whatever that was, whatever the quality of that was, so however many carats that was, I would get 3% less than whatever the market closed at the day before. So that's how they made their money. And then they sold it to the Federal Reserve. So they cut money from me right there. So this is happening like every week. So
Whole nother hustle.
whole nother. So
Yeah.
now the feds come back because now they mad because it's a smack in the face because now they took my money and I was basically broke. I had maybe 50 grand left. You know, my grandfather gave me some money as an investment. I took it. See, we get money and we go buy stupid
Materials,
stuff.
right.
Right. But when I got that lump sum, I went and I immediately flipped it
Yes,
in the
yes.
gold. Cause see, the gold game is like the dope game, right? So I sent a bunch of guys over there. A friend of mine had referred me some guys that, you know, they was on probation still. And I'm like, listen, I don't need no schoolboys and all that. You're going into Africa, into the jungle.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same process. It's gonna come in dust form. You're gonna have to weigh it, you know, check the quantity and the quality of it. You know what I'm saying? And the way they tested it, it's a fluid that you put on the gold and it turns colors. And
Yes,
that's
it
how you
turns.
know.
Well, it's just like they do when they scrape it.
Right.
They got the different, the gold kit 10 carat, 14
Same thing.
carat, 18, same thing. So when you get that the jewelers do.
Yeah, same thing. Same
exact
So,
process.
you know, they would do that and right on the spot. If I wanted a wire, it was a little bit less that I got because it's a wire, because it's instant. Or they could cut me a check.
Yeah.
But you wanted that instant cash.
Oh, I wanted that instant, you know. And that's where, like, the street training from my dad. I mean, I wasn't a street girl, but my father was a street guy.
But you
so I
were
learned
able
all
to-
of those, you know, techniques from him.
Yes. No.
Yeah,
The
because they'll get over
principles,
on you,
the
you know?
principles apply the same. It was just that you were playing at a higher level. But the,
Right,
the
in a
principle
different
of
field.
hustles is the same.
It's the
Basic
same.
principle. I don't care what level of it, it's the same thing.
It's the same. It's
You
the same.
saying, and you grasp that at a younger
Right.
age, but to be able to be into the individuals, and you know, just like today, you know, like in my time, it was hard felonies. Today, they're low risk, high profit felonies.
Right, right.
You feel me? Where people really are starting to understand the system, the dynamics, how everything work, which, you know, my big homies rather didn't know. They knew them hard felonies.
Right.
Which you get that hard time.
Right.
Now today, it's high risk. You took 2.4 million and you only get a year.
Right, right.
You feel me? So
Depending on what you look like.
yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because I got 10 and a half years, but
So
they
how-
was
wait.
got a year and a day.
How did you end up getting the 10 years? Like,
Because, like, you know, in the feds, everything it goes on quantity, whether it's drugs or whether it's money. The more money, the more time. The more drugs, the more time. So I had a lot of money. Didn't matter that I did this for a short time.
Yes.
Didn't matter that my clients was basically paying me for this.
Yes.
They weren't victims. So they tried to victimize my clients, and then this amount that I earned. See, when the judge sentenced me, my lawyer was like, "There's no loss." Because they voluntarily paid her this.
Yes.
I didn't steal it.
Right.
And I had to explain to a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, you stole money." I never stole money. You know what I'm saying? I was paid for a service.
Yes, yes,
and I provided that service.
Right.
But what happened was, you know, when the feds want to make you look bad, they had to victimize my clients. And I couldn't fight against that too much because then I would have had to expose too much about my clients.
Right.
And we was making money.
Yeah.
I got caught up in this.
And
I'm not
you
going to
held
expose
to
my
that.
client. Right.
Yes.
You know, so obviously I did, you know, when they said I had victims, I'm like, I don't have no victims.
Like, victims,
Who's
what
my
they at?
victim? Who's my
Crime
victim?
victims.
Right. Now, what I did have, I had documentation that I gave to every client
Yeah.
that said that you cannot use this for anything other than entertainment purposes only.
Yes.
The fact that they took it and tried to do something else, I don't have nothing to do with that. So if we play a Monopoly, and you know it's Monopoly money, but you try to go use it as real money,
That's on you.
Yeah, that's on you. That's not on me.
Right.
But so every transaction that happened outside of me, they try to put that on me. Whatever my clients were doing.
Blame it on you like
Right,
you
right.
And
like
there
you
wasn't
were
nothing you
the
could do about
initiator.
it.
But you know something? What I realized, you were just a black girl that was too smart for them. Like, no. She don't supposed to be in this position.
Right.
That's for
right,
us.
right.
Yeah, that's for us.
Right.
How the hell she do? No. So you know what we gonna do? You was an example.
Oh, it wasn't even a secret. He
Yeah.
said I'm going to set an example.
Yes.
And you know, at that time, the Madoff situation was going on.
Yes.
So you know, they was kept bringing up, oh, she's like a Madoff. You know, they was calling me the evil genius.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, one thing about me is like, I am about my bag.
Yes.
And I don't care who you looking at. I don't care whether from the Donald Trumps to, you know,
Tricky Trump.
Bloomberg, whoever. You cannot get that wealthy without breaking a rule.
No.
Right.
It's impossible.
And I always say this to these brothers. Behind every fortune is a crime.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Every fortune.
But the crime interplays because, like, I get into debates with people all the time. They're like, oh, you broke the law. And I say, okay, well, there was a time when slavery was legal. You release
Yes.
your slave without the proper paperwork, you're breaking the law.
Yes.
The law doesn't really mean anything. It's about morals. Because when
Yes.
groups of people get together, usually old white men, and they have these opinions, and the stroke of the pen makes it a law.
Yeah, moral
One
standard.
day it's a law, one
Yeah,
day it's
it's
not.
not.
I'm sure Donald
You know?
Trump broke plenty. of
No,
laws,
of
but
course.
he's the president, right?
Right, because you know they have those laws, but they always have either a fine, and they have they say or a sentence. So the fines are for them.
Yeah.
So when
Right.
they do something, they have that law there that's for the fine. Where they can say punishable by up to 30 years or a fine of or. That word or.
Or
Or,
means a lot.
Either way,
yes.
you know what I'm saying? I never heard of nobody doing anything like
Or
what I
moral
did
standing.
and getting a fine.
Meaning you will in God's name you will get your just due. So we ain't gonna put you in jail, and sometimes we're not gonna fine you. But morally, it's wrong, and they get away with it.
So how did you feel in that moment when they told you were getting 10 years?
That's 120 months.
126 months they gave me.
Oh, 100. Woo!
And
So they
that-
give you
at that
110 and a
moment,
half
like, what
years.
went through your mind, like your emotions? Like, how did you feel?
Yo, I was like, well, first of all, I was in MDC Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And I was fighting my case in the beginning because I'm like, listen, but they were accusing me at first of falsifying, acting like I was lending the money. They didn't really
Yes,
understand my
yeah,
case.
case.
And every time I broke it down, it was like, oh, this smart ass. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but I'm
that's
not
why they
trying to
do
be
that.
smart. I want you to understand before you.
Now, hold up. I
Just
was
throw me away.
I was the middleman in this situation.
Yeah,
I was just
right.
having this opportunity and this situation, bringing them together.
Right. Now, I'm not saying I didn't do anything wrong in your eyes, but what you're accusing me of is like this, and I only did this.
Yes.
So sentence me appropriately.
Right.
So what happened in my case was, first of all, you know, this guy, Eddie Truck Gordon, he's like an MMA fighter. I went to school with him. He wore a wire on me. You know what I'm saying? And not only did I get in trouble, it got my whole team in trouble. So I'm like, okay, before we start going into, you know, the sentence and all of that, let's look at the facts. And I asked my judge for what's called an evidentiary hearing. I'm going to plead guilty, but I'm going to plead guilty to what I did. I'm not going to plead guilty to what you're saying I did.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because they have factual and then they have actual. You know what I'm saying? They have the facts and then they have what they consider to be their actual loss. So the actual loss versus the intended loss. I don't know if you know about that, but you
We
can
might
rob,
do.
you
I'm
can
sure
rob
we
a
do.
bank, right?
Yes.
And steal $10,000. But they can say you thought it was going to be $1 million. So
And
we're going to sentence you based on $1 million.
$1 million.
What
That's
they
your
think that you
intended loss.
thought?
Just like,
That's conspiracy.
Yes.
So conspiracy is about your thoughts, not your actions.
yeah, you're actually meaning that, okay, you sold a key, but they estimated the value. Now, you may only sold a quarter, a big eighth, but now they estimated that you made such an amount to